What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Dime. I'm back. Kwab's back. The NBA's back. We're going to break down our first impressions of the NBA season with headlines on NBA Twitter. If you want, you can follow The Dime on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, at The Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez, at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab, at Kwab, a.k.a. Yes. We're back, baby. We did team previews. We're doing YouTube reactions. So if you're not following us on YouTube, make sure you follow and subscribe to The Dime with Josh and Kwab on YouTube. We're building that fan base up. Not going to lie, it's a little more important than you audio listeners right now. It's kind of, we care about them more.
It's like enough about those guys. These guys.
Enough about everybody who's had my back from the beginning, has been listening since 2018 and all those 5-star reviews that I've got. Just go over to YouTube and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. That's where it's at. God. I'm not cutting this out. This is what it's going to be.
Okay, man, that's fine. That works because
I love everybody.
It's the truth.
It's
the truth. So you got it.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Go subscribe on YouTube. The Dime with Josh and Kwab. Kwab, are you ready to get into it?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's start the episode with some headlines. All right, this is headlines where Kwab and I make up headlines and then ask you if it's audacious or not to say whether they're real or fake news, even though they kind of are fake news. But is the headline making a point or not? Let's just say that. For this particular rendition of headlines, though, Kwab, is this an overreaction or not an overreaction? So we're switching it up a bit. You got it?
Yeah, but am I allowed to be like, it's a reaction? Am I allowed to walk down the middle?
Yeah, you could, yeah. I'll let you do it. We'll see. We might have to turn it to the courts, but we'll see.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, here we go. Headline number 1. The Nuggets title window is officially closed.
Jeez.
Kwab, is this an overreaction?
I think it's a small overreaction. I think it's a small overreaction.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10.
Right down the middle, I'm going to say 5.
Okay, fine. Go ahead. Why is it a small reaction?
I don't think the window is officially closed. I think the window is a little bit smaller. It's a smaller window. We're not looking out.
Okay.
We're not looking out the big ass window with the views. I mean, it's a small window. Let's go. The views, though. We can still. Yeah, I mean, we still got a nice.
I can still see some light.
You know what I mean, I still see some light. I think it comes out because it comes down to it. The Nuggets still have arguably the best player in the league.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no denying that. So when you have that, you always have a chance. Now, the reason why the window has gotten a little smaller has been roster moves. Since their championship season, they've taken away players that helped them win. Started with Bruce Brown, and this year was KCP. They also lost even Jeff Green, who helped them out in spots. There were specific veteran players that contributed in a large way for the team. Now they're kind of dependent a lot on younger players to fill in these roles. It was the same reason they used the first year when they lost Bruce Brown. They were like, well, we have Peyton Watson. He should fill that bench role. Yeah. Now losing KCP, they're like, yeah, we have Christian Brown.
Yeah. So
he should be able to fill the role. But watching them after the first game, you see noticeable struggles they're gonna have if it's shooting, their lack of shooting. I think they missed 33s or something. It was an absurd number. The floor just looks a little more shrunken in compared to years past. They had the best starting lineup that just fit for years, and now it's no more because all these, again, there's been a gripe of mine for since last year. It's all these owners are talking about, oh man, the second apron, the tax, the apron. Yeah, I'm a billionaire, I'm a but I don't want to pay a little bit of money, the apron.
Yeah.
It's been so because of that, I don't think your window is closed, because if some of these younger players are able to develop, get better, be more consistent, they might still have a chance. They can still make some moves during the course of the season. It's a long season. It's only game 1. They're playing right now against the Clippers as we record this. So
and they're losing. So 1.5 games.
The game is not over yet, so we don't. So it could be that's why I say the window is not closed. You know what I mean? It's a little smaller. It's a little smaller.
Okay.
How do you feel about it? Is your championship window closed?
The window's closed.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I'll say this.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you can't open the window back up.
Fair enough. There
we
you
close
go.
windows all the time in our houses, and we open them back up. So for me, it's a possibility, right? You make the right move at the deadline, you get rid of some pieces, and you bring in shooting. Then yeah, I do think that you can open the window back up. But listen, it's been 1.5 games right now, and what I've seen from the Nuggets concerns me. And it's the second unit. And it's the combination of lineups that Mike Malone has to put out on the floor. There's no shooting. Once you leave the starting lineup, there's no shooting. Yeah. Peyton Watson is an under 30% three-point shooter. Christian Brown, even though he's good, and I do think he fits the starting lineup, not in the same way KCP does, but honestly, like similar enough. He's a good defender, and he's a good offensive player. He may not be a better three-point shooter, but like he's not someone who you can just ignore.
Yep.
So it's not the Christian Brown thing. It's Julian Strawther coming off the bench with Russell Westbrook and Peyton Watson at the same time. That is psychotic. I'm sorry. Not that they're bad. They're not bad individually, but to have them out there as your second unit, I mean, I don't care if you have Jokic and Murray out there with them. Like the paint's going to be packed. They're going to dare these players to beat them from three-point range, and it's just not going to happen in most nights. You're not going to beat a team like the Thunder. You're not going to beat a team like the Mavs or Timberwolves, especially in the playoffs. If this is your bench, it's just not going to happen. So, again, it's closed right now. It is. Nugget fans, I know it's one game. This is overreaction or not overreaction. Yep. I don't care if you think it's overreaction. The window's closed right now. Doesn't mean it can't open, though. All right, so Nugget fans, I don't want you thinking that, like, I'm, like, throwing the towel in on the year. Like, things happen. Like, the Mavs last year made huge deadline deals and got to the NBA Finals. I think the Nuggets are perfectly capable of doing that. So if you're a Nugget fan listening to this, I'm not just, like, throwing you under the bus and saying your team sucks. You have the best player in the world. You have an all-star point guard. And I think the starting five is good enough. Something needs to change with the bench. Something needs to change with roster construction. They need more shooting. They need outside threats. They need to get deals done by the deadline. Until then, I'm shutting the window, right? It's a little cold.
But you're not locking it. You're not locking it.
I'm not locking it. No, we can open back up. And listen, if they prove me otherwise, and if they bring in shooting, if the roster changes here and there, or somebody comes out of nowhere to have a career year shooting, let's just say Julian Strawther for some reason just starts hitting threes, and now all of a sudden, I mean, I'm a Knick fan. Deuce McBride was like shooting 20% from 20-something% his first 2 years in the league, and now all of a sudden, can't miss. He can't miss. So it's possible. You know what I mean? If someone develops like that way, then yeah, I'll shut the hell up and I'll say, you know what, the window's back open. I'm a Nugget fan. I love Jokic. I love how they play basketball. It pains me to say this. But after what I've seen from one game and what I'm seeing right now between the Clippers and Nuggets, it's 1.5 games. They're down by 15 in the second quarter. You know how many points they have midway through the second quarter, Kwab? 24. 24. This isn't the 90s.
It's early. It's still early, guys. Don't.
It is. I know. But if you're going to overreact, you overreact all the way. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
Your facts.
All right. Headline number 2. The Lakers hit a home run hiring JJ Redick. Is this an overreaction?
No, it doesn't feel like an overreaction after 2 games. Watching them play, you see a lot of great ball movement, a lot of great set play calls in ATOs. Defensively, even though they had a shitty first quarter, as the game progressed, you see how connected they are on defense, how patient they are in terms of like moving the ball and getting everybody in the right spots. It looks like a completely different team, but it's the same team from last year plus Bronny and Dalton Connect, right?
I think Bronny brings that energy, that camaraderie.
You see it. You see it. You see it. That's why you make that draft pick at 55. You get it. You get it.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they're doing. I'll say this. When the JJ hire was announced, the one concern I always had in my head is and I'm speaking from experience. I'm a Nets fan, so I've experienced the quick hire of the former player to coach, and we had it with Jason Kidd, had it with Steve Nash. Yeah, it takes a while for that coach to be labeled a coach instead of just the former player. Steve Nash never got. If you guys can go back and look it up. It felt like there was never a time somebody was like Coach Nash. It was always Steve Nash. And
interesting.
Jason Kidd never got to the point where when he was on Nets, it wasn't Coach Kidd until he progressed through the Bucks and the Mavs as he is now. You hear he's more like being called and pronounced as a coach. It's like, yo, Coach Kid. JJ
To add to
Redick.
that, like no one calls Coach Billups. They call him Chauncey Billups or Chauncey. Not even Billups. Chauncey.
That's what I'm saying,
They
and
just
we're gonna talk about that later. You
We'll
see what
talk
I'm
about Chauncey
saying?
later.
Exactly. So you realize that there's when a former player becomes a coach, there's a progression of when they finally get that respect. That's they're the actual coach instead of like they're just a figurehead, or like what they used to call Nash. He's just mediating personalities. He's not really coaching.
Babysitter.
Yeah, he's a babysitter.
But that was the pretenses in which he was hired, right? They were like, KD doesn't want to coach, Kyrie doesn't want to coach. We're gonna bring in Nash so we could do whatever the hell we want.
That's
it's a different situation.
But look crazy. So I mean, with JJ after 2 games, you see all the praise, and people are heaping on the praise because they see how well the Lakers are looking. You see the focus they've had on making sure the offense basically runs through AD, which has been a whole big thing where after AD was traded to the Lakers, LeBron stated it's like, hey, this is going to be AD's team. It's going to be AD's team, and it never seemed to happen. Now it feels like it's happening. In 2 games, he looks like the MVP of the league. The Lakers are winning games that they would have lost last year. They would have lost both those games last year. I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's
they would have packed it in.
Yeah,
they
packed it in.
The Suns.
Exactly. Or they would have made that fake comeback when it's like, oh man, you're right back in it.
Yeah, that's more the fake comeback. You're right.
The fake comeback. You know what I mean? And we all see the memes. Everybody talking about how Darvin Ham would have his hands in pockets, and like they put out the video of him during the timeout when he was like, "Yeah, we're doing it out here, yo, salute." And they're comparing to what JJ was doing. So right now it looks like it was a great hire just because of what JJ is doing. Eventually, he's going to be called Coach Redick. If this keeps progressing that way, people will start saying Coach JJ or Coach Redick. It won't just be
graduation.
JJ.
It's like he graduates.
Exactly. Who graduates?
Yeah.
That's just going to be JJ Redick. So that's what I see. So right now, I don't think that's an overreaction. It feels like it was a great hire. How do you feel about it?
So home run's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Home runs like what Freddie Freeman did to my Yankees last night. But to me, it's more like I'd say it's a slight overreaction because I do think it's a good hire. I'm very impressed with the sets that they were running. There's a lot of motion, a lot of back screens, a lot of cutting to the rim. I mean, everyone's getting involved. He's purposely running plays for Dalton Connect, which is dope because this is a rookie. And rookies are just told, like, stand in the corner, and when the ball comes to you, you shoot.
Yeah.
So, JJ's trust in everybody on the team. Even he ran a play for Jackson Hayes out of the timeout. I mean, it was at the rim. It was a lob, but it's just, to me, JJ's always been smart. You could tell by the way he talks the game. And mostly every basketball player who gets this position to be a head coach is smart, right? There's Jason Kidd, Chauncey Billups. I mean, you say what you want about them personally, but from a basketball standpoint, like, they're 2 of the greatest point guards to play the game. And that's why they were hired. Same with Steve Nash. They're smart. They have the ability to do it. But JJ seems to be an effective communicator, and he seems to be a nerd, right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I think separates JJ from a Nash, from a Chauncey, from a Kidd, is that JJ not only lives and breathes the game, he's a nerd. Like, he looks at sets, even on his podcast, sets, how many times these teams run sets, what were the results when they run sets. So, like, he lives and breathes this stuff. And so I think it's just a natural position for him. I do think it's a little bit of a overreaction because it's been 2 games. So for me, I'm saying right now, JJ hit it into the gap, and he's rounding second. And it might be a home run. It might be an inside the park home run. But we don't know yet because we don't know how long it's going to take for the outfielder to get that baseball right now. And JJ might get thrown in at third or at the plate. We have no idea.
True.
So to me, very promising. I think it's very promising. If I'm a Laker fan, I'm very happy with the hire. They played tonight against the Kings on a back-to-back. I rarely, and for those who don't listen to this podcast, if you're just tuning in, I rarely judge teams on back-to-backs, especially bad nights, because back-to-backs in the NBA are just like, I never expect.
Tell him, Joel Embiid. Tell him.
Yeah.
Tell him.
Exactly. That point proven, right?
Yeah.
A lot of players are resting. A lot of players who don't get big minutes sometimes get big minutes. Just back-to-backs to me just aren't. It's unfortunate because like you want it to be the same, but it's not. It's not the same for anybody. So regardless of what happens tonight, my opinion on the Lakers aren't changed. I'm impressed, man. And I think, there's a larger conversation to have here about how good they are. Yeah. I'm sure we'll have that in our power rankings in a few days. But moving on to headline number 3. It's the Celtics' year. Everybody else is playing for second. Kwab, your thoughts?
After one game against the Knicks, it felt that way. It felt that way, man. Again, we're judging off a couple of games. It's a long season, but they hands down look unbeatable. They look like the best team.
Yeah.
I've seen things where people are like, "Oh man, this style of play is ridiculous. It's not good for basketball in terms of them shooting threes." But at the end of the day,
Stop it.
if it's working, why would you stop?
How dare you win a championship?
I mean, why? What are you thinking? Committing to winning?
You're gonna keep doing the same thing that works? What? That's insane.
Finding the best strategy to win a game? Why would you do that? Why? Like, oh my gosh, like, and it's kind of crazy because it's like people are like, oh, all these threes is bad for the game. I'm like, well, the Warriors used to do it,
Right.
and it was fine. So why is it a problem now?
And I'd argue the way the Warriors did it was more audacious because they're going off the dribble from like 30 feet. Like it was more insane.
Like
the way the Celtics do it, it's like, damn, you just keep getting open and it's good threes.
Yeah.
The Warriors like, what the fuck? Okay, that wouldn't.
Yeah, it's like, man, Curry just shot it, turned around and dapped up his teammate before it went in. Like, let's be real. And to boot, if you go back and watch the next game, like Tatum has just been on a heater since the season started. He hit some tough shots. Like he was guarded, contested threes where he just hit. At that point, you just gotta shake his hand and be like, yo, good job. I think that like we just previously spoke about the Nuggets and how since their championship season they have taken players away. We talked about how the Celtics basically was like, hey, we won, bring everybody back, let's do it again.
Yeah.
We're going for it. Which you see the chemistry, you see the continuity with the team.
Yeah.
Everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Like they're dishing the ball, giving extra passes for because they trust each other. Everybody accepting your roles, and it works out. And then you made the point. After we had the reaction after the first game, the reaction video. You're like, hey, I was like, oh, would have been different if the Knicks had Mitch Robinson. You're like, hey, Chris Stapps didn't play, and I was like, oh, my fault, bro. My bad, big dog. My bad, big dog.
I'm missing Porzingis, which is like, oh my god.
My bad, big dog. So
no, I forget about it too, and then when I think about it in my head or I get reminded about it, I'm like, oh, I go, Jesus Christ.
Which was crazy when we go back to the finals. He came back from injury, like looking on one leg, and was incredible. Was a factor in the finals also, even on one. So yes, it looks like everybody's playing for number 2. Now it's super early. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. As somebody that's not the biggest Boston fan, what I mean? I hope it doesn't happen. And this is a shout out. Our boy from our writer Devin Marcus, who keeps he doesn't comment on anything except when it's Celtics related. That man was sitting there.
I haven't seen Devin since I graduated. It's literally been over a decade since I've seen Devin.
It's been over a decade.
I haven't had a conversation with him. It's Celtics, we ballin'.
Celtics, we ballin'. That man commented on the video. It's like, yeah, man, the Celtics whooped their ass. He's like, yo, hands and feet. That's all. That's all he let us know. I'm like, yo.
Shout out to Dev.
Shout out to Dev, bro. I get it.
He just had a kid, right?
Yes.
All right, let's not make this a friendship podcast. All of a sudden, we switch to a lifestyle podcast.
Hey, but wait, we love our friends. We're like, hey, friendships matter. But hey, I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't think it's that much overreaction. But again, it's a long season, so anything can happen. But they look like the best team. That's why we both had them number 1 in our power rankings.
I'm gonna say it's an overreaction for the simple fact that it's a long season, 82 game season. Injuries can happen.
Yep.
Moves can be made. You never really know what's gonna happen here. But they are clearly the favorites. I mean, right now, hands down the best team in the league. Hands down. So if the playoffs this is such a ridiculous thing. If
the playoffs started today,
if we were to cut the season short by 80 games, I would have the Celtics as the favorite.
What a condensed schedule. Oh
God, yeah. This is what you. Yeah, Joel Embiid still is gonna miss most of the season in the 2-game fucking season. But if the playoffs were to start today.
The Celtics got it.
Give it to the Celtics. But no, it's an 80-game season. And I right now they are the best team. All right, so that's headlines. Let's move on to just a regular conversation. Kwab and I are moving to the couch, and we're just gonna have a quick conversation about other things that are happening in the league.
You know what I mean?
Kind of sticking with the theme of overreactions. I want to know if there's any takes that we've had in preseason episodes, maybe during our team previews, that you would like to take back. Is there anything that you said that you're like, you know what? After 1 or 2 games, I think I'm completely wrong about this.
I take nothing back. I'm more slightly, and it's early, but it's super early. I'm slightly more concerned about the Pacers than I was going into the
Okay.
season. I thought
Yeah.
that they were going to be a little bit better than I've seen, and watching them play, it feels like if right now their best player is Siakam,
Yeah.
which
Well, how? Yeah.
yeah,
Or
what
Howie.
I mean, he's playing the best in terms of like
Right now.
right
Yeah.
now he's playing the best for them. You know what I mean? Which works out, but like it's also a little bit concerning because Halliburton has to get it. I thought he would revert back to form, his All-Star form he had before he had the hamstring injury last season, and he seems to still be struggling a little bit. So now again, it's early; they might get it together. But what the couple of games I've been able to go back and watch, I'm a little bit concerned about how they look. So that's probably the only thing I'll take back right now. Everything else, you know what I mean, I'm 1,000% right. I'm sorry. I don't care what y'all say. You know what I mean? I'm never wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I would like to take back either. I think there are teams that I've underestimated, but I didn't say anything. For instance, like the Mavs, right?
Yeah.
I know it was against the Spurs, and honestly, they didn't even play well the first half, but then you saw everything come together in the second half, and you saw the vision. I said this about the Knicks, right? In the first game with the Knicks, it's like, damn, they got their asses whipped. But then the second game against the Pacers, once they got their act together, you saw the vision. You're like, oh my God, Jalen Brunson has all this room to operate. Holy crap, the switchability on defense is going to be a problem. You see the vision.
Yep.
And I think with the Mavs in the second half against the Spurs, I saw the vision. And the vision was like, oh, this could be like insane. Like this could be like the Mavs, like to me, I've always kind of backhanded complimented the Mavs throughout my time on the dime. I'm not a fan of Jason Kidd as a coach. I don't think he's a good coach. And very ball-centric offensives kind of worry me because of rhythm. But Luka's one of the best players in the world. Kyrie, same thing. And he does pass. It's not like he doesn't pass the ball or create for others. And I think having Klay Thompson there is going to be very beneficial for spacing. And, you know, Klay, at the end of the day, whether you think he lost a step or not, I mean, shooters shoot, man.
Yeah.
That man's going to be able to shoot the basketball until he's 55 years old.
Facts. Big facts.
And everybody who was in our comment section saying, calling us clowns or whatever about the Klay Thompson video we released about him being washed, watch the fucking video, bro. We said he wasn't washed. We had all these people in the comments saying, oh, this is a clown show. How could you say Clay's? What do you mean? I asked the question, is Klay washed? And Drew was like, no.
We posed the question because that was what people were concerned about when Klay signed. And the consensus was like, no.
He's not washed.
Even if he's not Golden State Klay, having somebody of his caliber is gonna help the team. We said this, but you know, people just like to read a little bit.
It's the thumbnail, bro.
No,
it's the thumbnail. I had the thumbnail with Klay. I don't remember off the top of my head, and then it was like, is he washed? It was probably a picture of Klay, like. But bro, like we got to make things attractive for you to click on. But the answer was no. So like, watch the video before you even like.
And we don't hate, and please, another other thing, we don't hate Luka. I don't understand, like, some of these.
Yeah, what the hell, bro? I picked him to win Clutch Player of the Year.
Facts.
Last year, 2 years ago, I picked him to win MVP. We constantly talk about how he's one of the best players in the league.
Facts.
I think Mavs fans had it out for us, bro. I don't know what it is.
I think
we don't have.
Mavs fans
we don't have a relationship
they're not
with
having
fans.
a good. I mean, they're not having a good time. They probably are just upset. They got to the finals and then win. I get it. You guys are upset.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
It's cool,
So,
but just like, hey, relax, everybody. Take some ashwagandha, whatever you need to. Just chill out, relax. You know what I mean?
So I sort of changed my opinion on the Mavs. Have you changed your opinion about any team? I'll even add to this question. Has a team's performance even cemented you more where it's like, I knew I was right about them?
Well, I knew the Nuggets were gonna struggle, so I'm not surprised about that. It's not really.
You were right about that.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
Yeah,
Shout
I'm
out
not
to you.
really. So that's not really a shock. I just made those points earlier. We're gonna keep saying this. Like, disclaimer: it's super early. It's beginning of the season.
Right.
Watching how well the Thunder played, I was like, well, they're going to be good because they were the number one team last year. And then iHeart goes down. I'm like, okay, well, their big signing is down. It might look a little bit different, but just seeing how well they played, like, it just feels like everybody knows your role, knows what you're good at. They all worked on your game over the summer. It's a young, just energetic team. Caruso, like, coming in off the bench. Doesn't have to score. He fits in anywhere. Makes such an impact. I still don't understand why the Bulls made that trade and didn't get a single pick. I get it. You wanted Josh Giddey, but
Josh Giddey, bro. Come on.
you couldn't even get a second round pick. Nothing. Just nothing. Just it's kind of crazy to me. But
Yeah, Presti got them overstocked.
oh, dog, bro, like
Couldn't give you one. Give you something.
give me something, man. Just something. Just something. So that's one team. I think there's probably a couple other teams but again I have to take. It's been a bunch of games I haven't been able to watch everything else. I still think Houston is a dark horse for the West. Yeah, so none really much has changed. Again, it's super like we'll probably do power rankings, but like as the season progresses, maybe after 10 games or so, we'll probably change our views and we'll keep changing our views. And it's okay, people, to change your views. It's not.
And
There's
change
nothing
with
wrong
us.
with that.
Change
There's
with
nothing
us.
wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with change.
It's not stuck in like, not stuck in stone. Like you can change your mind. You can
We're having a good time here.
you can make a declaration and then change your mind. Has anything? What about you? Has there been any team or anything that you're like, or even any player that you're like, oh well, this is not what I expected, or this is exactly what I thought?
I don't want to beat on the Nuggets, but Russell Westbrook is exactly what I thought he'd be for the Nuggets. I'll leave it at that because I can go on the Westbrook rant. The Mavs, I think seeing with the Mavs, again, it's 1/2 against the Spurs. Like, it's not like they do it consistently. I always have a rule, too, with the NBA, which, like, you don't want to make any definitive proclamations about a team until, like, 10 games in and take it 10 at a time.
Yep.
Right? Because you got to see trends in this league. Because a team, just like the Knicks, right? You can look horrible one game and then fantastic the next game. I don't know. The Knicks can go right back to what they were against the Celtics. All of a sudden, they're 1-2, and this high that I'm on, like, goes away. So I don't want to overreact, but I do think you can see like the ceilings in teams, right? Like the Knicks against the Pacers, you saw what they could be. Even like the T-Wolves against the Kings, the second half, like it's like, oh, okay, so Julius Kent, like this could work. This could work if they use him properly. So I don't know if I changed my mind about any team. If I'm being honest with you, no, I don't think I haven't.
I just remembered one else I wanted. That just hit me right now. Yeah, I was always right about Ben Simmons, and that's never gonna change. That's what I'm gonna say. I was always right.
Sounds like a deep wound. All right, let's move on. All right, speaking of slow starts, the Philadelphia 76ers, they are 0-2. They lost to the Bucks at home without Joel Embiid and Paul George, and they went on the road and lost to the Toronto Raptors without Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. They're two of their starters, Kelly Olynyk too, who I would assume is in the rotation. They're not going to have Bruce Brown for a while, but he was out too, just to kind of mention that. Ugly losses. Is this excusable considering they don't have Joel Embiid and Paul George, and are you worried about them?
No, I can't say I'm worried about it. It's early, and it's you kind of expect this. Like, I don't think anybody expected them to beat the Bucks. Maybe the Raptors was like a winnable game, but your best player, Embiid, is out. Your big signing, Paul George, hurt his knee preseason, so you're kind of dependent on Maxey, Kelly Oubre, and like, basically,
it's not your team.
Players that are not expected to that are supposed to be like supporting cast are now having to step up. So you kind of expect this happening. So they just, in my opinion, if they're able to just be steady, maybe win a couple games, lose a couple games, and then they get everybody healthy, they still should be able to make a run in the East. But with the Sixers, it always comes down to, is Embiid healthy?
Right. Well, I think they're doing everything to make sure that he is healthy in the playoffs, which is why they're resting him in back-to-backs and violating league policy.
My thing was that why, if they were going to rest, they were obviously wanting to rest in back-to-backs, right? Which is it's common practice in the league, especially with stars that get injured. Why announce it? Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And just do just put out the fake injuries before games, out with knee management or toenail pull.
Toenail fungus.
You know what I mean? Cramping neck. Can't.
Had to run to the store right quick. Won't be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you're right. You're right about that. I mean, the investigation is so dumb because it didn't have to happen, right? Players do this all the time. Teams do this all the time. Where it's like, it's known. It's known that the player's not going to play on back-to-backs. It's known this player's a little banged up and you're trying to rest him a little bit. You don't have to announce it to the world. No. So, shout out to the NBA investigation. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Stupid on the Sixers. I hope they lose all their draft picks because I hate them.
What's going to come? They're going to lose like a second-round pick for
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Another, I guess, kind of scandal is Kawhi Leonard's trainer was fired by the Clippers. And now he's suing the organization, saying that the Clippers tampered with Kawhi Leonard after his extension with the San Antonio Spurs and also made him play through injury. Kwab, is this for real or fugazi?
This is for real. That popped up on the timeline. I was like, what is happening? Was my reaction. I'm like, what? So apparently, the allegation was like, they were tampering to get Kawhi since he was on the Spurs. When he was on the Clippers, they were basically shooting him up with horse tranquilizer in order for him to play. They made it seem crazy.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, to my whole thing is that
because I don't think Kawhi would go along with that.
Right? I feel like if all that's happening, he has to have some sort of say or allow it for it to happen. So it might.
And he's always been very protective about his injuries.
Exactly.
Care of himself.
So it kind of seems off. But for this to happen the second day of the league,
crazy, dude.
It's just this is the NBA where drama happens. So.
And it doesn't I don't know how this works. If there's a lawyer who watches the time, maybe you can comment below.
Comment, please.
But
yeah.
Doesn't Kawhi have to corroborate all this stuff? Because if he's making these accusations, you have to prove it. Yep. And the only way you can really prove it is if Kawhi comes out and says these things, or you have some type of paper trail, or you have another person in the organization saying, yeah, I injected Kawhi when he wasn't healthy, or I was instructed to do so. Right? That's the only way you can really prove that.
So you're saying that Kawhi has to speak?
Yeah, he's being awfully
quiet.
Quiet.
All right, we're
you guys get it?
We love it. You get it? You get it? Quiet. You like that punchline?
All right, on that note, let's head to NBA Twitter. All right, this is NBA Twitter. This is when Kwab and I choose tweets that come up on our timeline. We screenshot them, we say them out loud, and we discuss them. We debate them. We agree with them. We add to them. We do anything. Actually, Kwab, I kind of want to change it this year. Let's do something where we like it, we quote it, or we quote tweet it, or we ignore it, or we reply to it. Just anything you can do on Twitter. Let's add that to this. I just came off this top of my head. It just makes it a little more interesting. Okay?
Very nice.
First tweet comes from King Whiteside at Charge It to Mark. Poor Mark. That bill must be. Tweet number 1. Buddy Hield about to have his best season ever, isn't he? LOL. Kwab, are you quote tweeting, retweeting, replying?
I'll probably reply, and I'll say it's not. I'll say it's not necessarily his best season ever. It could be his most efficient season ever, just because in being a system that is a system and a team that needs shooting, and that's his greatest asset. And it looks like they're allowing him to be himself, to come off the bench and just go crazy. The way he's playing, he could be a possible Sixth Man of the Year candidate, especially how it feels like, and this is what I should have mentioned earlier when we were talking about things that could have changed. I didn't realize, looking at the roster, how deep the Warriors actually could be throughout the course of the season with the signings they had with Buddy, with Melton, with Kyle Anderson, and just the young players they already have in place. So there's a lot of players that are capable of playing and contributing. And Buddy's just stepping up to the plate and doing what he's supposed to do. So I don't know if it's going to be his best season ever, but it feels like it's going to be one of his most efficient seasons ever.
Okay. All right. I'm going to retweet this. I actually agree. I have no notes, nothing to add. And when I have nothing to add and agree with something, I retweet it.
You retweet it, yeah.
I think he's going to have his best season ever. I do. I mean, he's not Klay Thompson, but you have an offense and you have a coach and you have a player in Steph Curry who had a sidekick built around like another shooter. And guess who that other shooter is in this offense? It's Buddy Hield. And the one thing Buddy Hield was always able to do was shoot the damn basketball. Yeah. So it really wouldn't surprise me if he gets a few starts here and there. I know he's coming off the bench now. If he closes some games, I think he's that important. You know, it is kind of a travesty, like looking how he's played the first 2 games. And again, it's early, I know, but like this guy was like relegated to the bench and had no role whatsoever with the Sixers in the playoffs last year against the Knicks. He had a huge game 6, but aside from that, like was just irrelevant. It's just a tale of like how much fit and coaching matters for a player. Like you can be absolutely end of the bench, fringe rotation in one team, and then go to another team, and all of a sudden you're a high impact player, and you know maybe someone who could win the 6th Man of the Year. Interesting, but I retweet. All right, tweet number 2 comes from D Baby at Who Is Darren. Don't know who he is. He says the Phoenix Suns are overrated, and I guarantee 2 of their star players will be traded by the trade deadline. Whoo, Kwab. Retweet, quote tweet, reply. What do you got?
Quote tweet. I don't think 2 of your stars are gonna be traded by the deadline because one of them has a no trade clause.
Know the contracts, buddy.
You know what I mean? One has a no trade clause. The other one is Devin Booker. I don't think you're gonna trade Devin Booker, and you're not gonna. And KD's KD. I don't see that happening. Now the overrated sentiment is like, how high did you have him rated? That's your problem. That's your main problem. That's the problem you have, buddy. How high did you have them? I think the Suns are one of the better teams in the West. You're gonna be one of the better teams in the West, just because they made the moves of getting 2 reliable point guards. Was the concern of everybody? It was like, oh, they need point guards. They need a point guard. They need a point guard. They got Tyus Jones. They got Monte Morris. The one thing I noticed when I was watching the Lakers game was to start off the game, there was a lot of great ball movement. Because of Coach Bud. They look fantastic.
Yeah.
And this same thing happened. I think the same thing happened against the Clippers, where they started off amazing, moving the ball. When in the fourth quarter, or when the games get close, it's kind of like it's back to the same tendencies of isolation, and you know when the star player comes down, it's like, yo, everybody clear out.
And they had against the Clippers. They had Bradley Beal in the corner for like 15 straight possessions. That's Bradley Beal.
But that's
he should be at least touching the ball.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. And I understand Kevin Durant. You want to get the ball in Kevin Durant's hands. I'm not saying don't run plays for Kevin Durant. I'm not even saying don't run plays for Kevin Durant every time down. But my God, to have Bradley Beal just standing in the corner, that's crazy, dude. Yeah. And then again, you get Tyus Jones and you get Monte Morris to run point guard, and then they're not even running point guard in the times where it matters most. You get the ball to KD at wherever you can get it, and he's going off the top, and it's just like, yeah, it's going to work sometimes. It is, because Kevin Durant's phenomenal. Like, you're going to win games like that sometimes, but it's just not a plan for consistent success. And they're 0-2, man. Like, already, so I'm quote tweeting this. I'm saying, hell yeah, they're overrated, but if you think they're trading anybody, you're crazy. Because they're not. They're not trading anybody.
I think maybe
they will go down with this ship.
I think somebody that might actually look into trading, which I've seen a lot of Suns fans say this, is Nurkic, because he's just been he hasn't been playing really well at all, and it's like
he's been bad.
It's been bad. So I don't. Yeah, I again. Disclaimer: it's early. Things can change, but I think the main concern or the main problem with this team, even last year, was that your 3 stars don't necessarily fit that well together.
Right.
And that's why the Bradley Beal trade was always like a big.
And you had to get your whole roster to get them too. So now you're working on the fringes with nothing to like no money in.
Exactly.
It's just yeah.
But we'll say this: at least the owner doesn't really care for the aprons. He's cool. He's like, yo, cash out, which I respect. Cash, you have the money. It's okay. Go pay the tax, buddy. Just pay the tax. Just pay the tax. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, pay the tax.
All right, here we go. Final tweet comes from Fire Chauncey Billups now! ! I wonder what this tweet's going to be about. At Stogie Rules. And he says, please, dear God, do not let Chauncey Billups be our coach next season. Kwab. Retweet, quote tweet, reply. What are you doing?
I'll just scroll past it, honestly. Like, yeah, man, like, look. I was like, I'll just like, what else on the timeline? Look, in all seriousness,
I don't care enough about the Portland Trailblazers to even engage with this.
It's not even that. It's like, okay, the main problem we talked. Okay, we just talked about the whole thing about when players become coaches, they start getting respect as coaches, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like Chauncey Billups is still known as Chauncey Billups, not Coach Billups. It's
No,
been
he's just known as Chauncey.
or Chauncey or like
It's
you know what I
Chauncey.
mean.
Yeah.
I don't hear people saying Coach Billups or Coach Chauncey. Like the term is not used so much when it comes to Chauncey Billups. That's one. Two, up and down the roster, you look at they have a lot of talent on the roster, but all that talent comes with inconsistency. Like all DeAndre Ayton, what is he known for? Being inconsistent.
Inconsistent. Yeah.
Like he can get you 20 and 10, or he just disappears. Jeremy Grant, great power forward, great two-way player. Times he's inconsistent.
He's more of a role player. He wants a larger role than he deserves, or he's capable of handling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp. People look at him. He's like, he could be a star. There are games where I've seen him go for like 27 points one day, and the next day have 4 points, and it's like his facial expression it stays the same. It's just like whatever. It's not concerning to him. It's they drafted Scoot, who's still young and he's still trying to get better and progress through the league. So he's going to be, guess what, inconsistent. So it's a up and down inconsistent team. So I'm like, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I don't know what that person's expectations were for that team. Maybe they thought that they could be a possible playing team, which is still possible. It's early. But yeah, I would probably see that and be like, what happened? Say that again?
It's not possible. They're one of the worst teams in the league.
Anything is possible, bro. It's early. Anything is possible. Anything is possible, bro. I'm just saying. Anything, you never know. All you need to do, you figure out some things. Anything can happen. But like when you look up at that, it's a weird team. Like they drafted Donovan Clingan, and he looked fantastic in the preseason, but they can't start him over Ayton.
Right.
So like, are you gonna trade Ayton, DeAndre? But who wants that contract?
Right.
And then Robert Williams is also there, but I think he's injured. It's like there's a lot of weird dynamic and inconsistencies up and down that team. So if I saw that tweet, I'd be like, cool, man. Next. What would you do if you saw
it? If I saw it, I would just reply, LOL. That's it. I feel bad for Blazer fans. I really do. I feel horrible for Blazer fans. People forget Chauncey was hired to keep Damian Lillard around. Like that was supposed to be like the buddy, like the cop duo that like brings Portland to the next level. And then Dame leaves, and you have this coach who only coached 1 year prior to this as an assistant. It's like Chauncey Billups like earned this spot. He didn't earn this to be the head coach of the Portland, to be the head coach of a team that's desperately trying to hold on to one of the top 75 players who ever lived. That's the guy you hire? Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry. I was about to say
like,
I can't comment on that. I watched Steve Nash be a coach on my team for 2
but,
years.
But that was egregious too. They're both egregious moves, terrible moves, both of them. And Chauncey Billups, like I can't even tell you what his footprint or his fingerprints are on this team. I don't know what type of offense he runs. I have no idea what he's doing. I don't know what his philosophy is. I have no clue. Like I don't know what this guy's about. I don't like JJ Redick instantly 2 games. We're gonna have a lot of motion. We're gonna be creative with out of bounds timeouts and plays of that nature. Like you know right away what this is. With Chauncey, it's just like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, just running around doing whatever the hell they want to do, and he's just sitting there with his hands in the pockets, leaning against the freaking scores table, chatting with the fans. Like he's not doing anything. Like he has not positively affected. Like I can't say anything about Stu Henderson that he's learned from Chauncey Billups. I can't say anything about Anthony Simons. He's basically the same player that he's been since Chauncey took over. He hasn't developed DeAndre Ayton. He's done absolutely nothing for this Portland Trailblazers organization except like fail to keep Damian Lillard around. Like this was the guy who was supposed to have this huge connection with Dame, and he's not going to leave because Chauncey's here, and then he bounces for Milwaukee. Even though he was traded, let's be honest, Dame won it out. So it's like, yeah, fire him. Start over. Get a coach who knows how to work with talent. You're working with somebody like it's almost like you hire a chef who's never cooked a meal ever, and you're like, hey, we have all of these patrons who come here who expect greatness and who expect a certain amount of like service, and he can't deliver because he's never cooked anything in his life. The man has never cooked anything. Like, how do you expect him to have these fresh ingredients and make something out of it? You can't. And I'm not
It's a
saying they have a
difference.
great roster. They don't. They don't have a fantastic roster, but they have talent. They shouldn't be this bad. They shouldn't be an embarrassment to Portland Trailblazer basketball. I'm not saying they're a playoff team, but you should be at least fighting for the play-in. This is crazy. Like, he has to be fired. The fact that he was even hired to begin with is insane, especially with the sexual assault allegations. Don't get me started with that. Like, but just from a basketball standpoint, like, yeah, I feel bad for Blazer fans. I feel awful for you. So
I was gonna say when you made your chef comment, I was like, that's a different episode of The Bear. But it, it is what it is, man. I just like maybe like I said, maybe I'm acting like just non-caring because it's the Blazers because I feel like or whatever. But like you said, there's talent there. Maybe he needs to get fired. Maybe it would
he
change.
does. The Blazers don't have an identity, dude. Like, there's nothing. I don't even know what offense they run. I don't know what type of defense. Like, he came in and like their defense improved a little bit because they just tried harder. But I don't know anything that like, and I don't know what it is now. I mean, they're terrible now. But like, I don't know, and I should know because I've watched enough Blazer basketball for the both of us for the past 5 years. Like, there's no reason why that they should be this bad, or at least not have an identity, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you do on offense? What are you bringing? You know, Anthony Simons is someone who's coveted around the league as somebody who would be a huge trade target for a contender if he's ever comes available. DeAndre Ayton, say what you want about him, he was a starting center for a team that almost won the NBA Finals. True. You know, Jeremy Grant was looked at as one of the most coveted role players or small forwards that you could probably bring in as your number 3, maybe number 4. Like, they don't have that bad of a roster. It shouldn't be this bad in Portland. I'm not saying they should be in the playoffs, but it shouldn't be this. And I couldn't even tell you what he brings. Like, I can't believe I'm getting this angry over it.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I don't think
I am too.
I didn't expect this reaction, but I'm just like, I'm shocked. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. I also forgot they added Denny Avia from the Wizards. He's also
he's a good player.
He's a good player.
Listen, they don't have the number. They don't have the Dame, right? They don't have Dame anymore. They traded CJ. Nurk is gone. Like, I get it. Like, you traded a lot of your players, but to lose in the way that they've been losing, the Pelicans without DeJounte, like, came back. Like, come on, what, they were down like 20 that game?
Yeah, it was a nasty game. The game was just terrible.
Like, come on, bro. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Like, there's just no plan here. I don't even know what the plan is. Like, what are we're just chilling? We're just chilling? That's it?
Plan is vibes, baby. Just scroll past the tweet. The plan is vibes, baby. We're gonna keep it rolling.
I gotta take. I'm deleting my LOL comment, and I'm just prayer hand emojis.
That's not an LOL. I'm about to say what you just said out loud. What you just broke down. It's not an LOL comment. That's an angry face emoji comment. That's not a prayer hand
emojis.
No,
prayer hand emojis.
No, you're quote tweeting that, and then you're letting off the barrel, dog. You just. You just went off, bro. It wasn't.
Here's why Chauncey should be fired. Fred.
That wasn't a chill, like, LOL is fun. No, you were like, nah, get rid of that man. So, now I think about it, maybe you tweeted that. It feels like maybe that might be your burner.
I fired Chauncey Billups' now Twitter account. That was me.
That might be your burner.
Yeah, and listen, if I really don't. Outside of like rare Russell Westbrook rants, I don't really trash anybody on this show. I know, like, it's just not my personality, dude. Like, and
I'm added to the list, fellas. It's the rare Russell Westbrook rants, the rare heat culture is not real rants.
Right, heat culture for sure.
The recent one is the Pacers. The Pacers. There's no way the Pacers can beat the Knicks. That's been the one that's the triggering one right now.
But I never go specifically at one person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like at the end of the day, like these are people's livelihoods. They're hired. They're making money for their families. I can't do what they do.
Yep.
Like I can't even come close to. So for me to be like, well, you should be fired because like it just comes across like I'm an ass.
Yeah.
So at the end, but you know, with how for the fact that he only had 1 year of coaching as an assistant, like nothing prior to that, nothing to prove that he could handle this type of situation. The sexual assault allegations, I don't care what anybody says. If you have that and it's not cleared up, and then the league goes, oh, we did our own investigation, but we're not going to reveal what our investigation was. That's kind of sketchy. Yeah. You don't get much work with me. I'm sorry. And then after that, you have years and years of just like, not just underperforming. Again, I don't know what this team is. How can I, like, if I was Joe Cronin, I would just be like, well, if I knew the plan of that, if Chauncey, let's just say he was like a D'Antoni type, right? Hypothetically, which he's not. Yeah. But if he was just like, well, I know that he wants to play this type of style, you know, Suns D'Antoni, 7 seconds or less.
Yep.
Get more shots up, a lot of threes. We're building a roster towards that. Then I could see you're keeping him because it's like we have a plan of action and we have a style of play that we want to play that we can pick players into. But if I'm Joe Cronin, it's like, what players do I even get to fit Chauncey Billups' system when I don't even know what it is? So how can I possibly go out and get players if I have no idea what type of team I'm building? Like with the Knicks, you know exactly what type of team you were building. Players who could defend, players who could shoot, and players who are willing to get offensive rebounds, right? And the Knicks built upon that for years and years and years and drafted players. Deuce McBride plays defense, can shoot. Quentin Grimes plays defense, can shoot. You know what I mean? Like these are players that you've drafted over time. Mitchell Robinson plays defense, protects the rim. That it makes sense. I don't know what the Blazers are doing. Don't know. And this is probably the last time we'll talk about the Blazers all year because they're going to lose 60 games.
Doubt it. Doubt it. You're gonna regret those words, buddy. Gonna regret those words, buddy.
All right, that's gonna do it for the show. I don't know what just got into me. I am so sorry. I did not expect the Blazers to take up this much of the show. But if you want to follow the Dime, you can at the Dime NBA. I'm Josh.
You're trying to sign out so calm, and you're still hyped up. Like,
I'm a Knicks fan.
I'm Kwab.
I don't know if you'd know that based off of my reaction, but I'm a Knicks fan. And he's Kwab. He's a Nets fan. Tune in next time. We're going to do power rankings, game reactions. All right. Peace out.
Peace out.